So we mentioned enough about asking, enough questions to get to know a person. But I also want you to pay attention on people's characteristics when you're out dating, because certain characteristics in a person will definitely cause the relationship more challenging. Sometimes will lead you to a nightmare. I'm not trying to threaten you. And of course, you may say we are not perfect, so some imperfection will affect our love life. But there's a certain characteristics just more dangerous, okay, more destructive for the relationship, and sometimes it's beyond your ability. You can solve that problem. And let's explore one by one. There's 8 fatal flaws. I call it fatal flaw because they are just the more dangerous and the more destructive. So the first one is addictions. If you love someone, you realize he has an addiction. That means you are in a love triangle. And you have you and him and the substance he's addicted to. Either alcohol, drugs, sexual addiction, gambling, smoke, whatever he's addicted to. And then because of that, this person cannot give you 100% attention. And also he's not a free person. He's a slave to that addiction. And he cannot control himself. Okay? Addiction is something beyond his logical control. And also because of that, he has no ability to feel because he uses substance to numb his feelings. He cannot feel fully, and which is the very critical key for intimate relationship, is you two can have an emotionally, openness to talk about things, to feel things, but he has no ability. So really think about it. Pay attention to his pattern. Let's say that alcohol, from a very first date, observe his drinking pattern. People drink too much and will become unpredictable, right? So observe in the very beginning of the relationship if he has any sort of addictions. Otherwise, it will cause more problem later on in the relationship. Once you both are more physically, emotionally connected, especially you connect to him and find out he has addiction. Then you're gonna battle with him and with substance. Very exhausting. Okay? The next is anger. Living with an angry person is like living with a time bomb. You never know, when it goes off. It's very, exhausted. You cannot be relaxing because you never know what makes him angry. You have to be tiptoes. And those anger, it's not talking about if you guys meet 2 o'clock and then you were late for 30 minutes and he got angry. It's more outrageous anger. Like he was shouting and yelling, even physical abusive, and he's constantly, talking about other people, unfriendly to the waiters, waitress, talking about boss, co-workers. So it's always angry at something. That's why pay warning signs. Pay those warning signs to see if he's a happy person or angry person. Anger has a much more complicated reason why the people are angry. It's just so complicated. It could be from his past. Majority is it could be one of his parents was always angry at him, or something in his environment to cause him has the anger, inside his emotion. And for angry people, they really need to get professional help to heal, to solve the problem. So when you find out that someone you really like it, but later on you find out they have an anger problem, you really have to ask yourself, why am I putting up his behavior? Should I? Of course not. Then what I'm going to do? You have to talk to him, let him know you observe that he has an anger problem. If he doesn't seeking for professional help, and you cannot be in relationship with him. If you do, you set up yourself for failure. Okay? But I have a lady, she actually tell me no matter what she does, she kept attracting the angry people in her own life. And then later on, we discovered because she has her own anger issue, hasn't solved yet. That's why, by law of attraction, you attract to like attracts to alike. So it's important is to evaluate if you feel this is a situation beyond you can control, and go ahead, you can PM me, private message me, and I say, I want to talk through the anger issue, not the guys, and also about myself. So we can through the private session. But again, this is also something you need to get a professional help. The next fatal flaw, it's a victim consciousness. And some people just look like that. They never take a responsibility for the things happening in their life. It's always other people's problem. They're all good. It's the whole world against them. They don't have a problem. Okay? So they constantly think of themselves as powerless, helpless, victim mode. So what they do is they not only repeating the same negative pattern in relationship in life, they never will find a situation to solve the problem or to looking for the solutions. They like to say, if situation happens, instead of saying what I can do about it, they always say, why this is happening to me again? It's not fair. Why this is happening to me again? This actually happened to lots of my female clients as well. It's a victim consciousness, victim mode. Put yourself in the victim mode. And again, if you run into your dates into that mode, you have to be careful, not into the rescue mode to help him. You think, oh, I'm a positive, I have a good energy, and let me to tell them and help them out. And sometimes it's you burn yourself out, and he still will not take your advice because they are just in that mode. Unless you point it out, say, I really noticed that you've been complaining on the same thing a lot. And I really want you to notice that and see if you can get professional help. Or if you want to take action to make the change. The worst thing is that he denied it. If he said, yeah, I noticed that too, can you help me? Or can we find some, professional help together to help me getting better? But if he denies it, there's nothing you can do about it. If he doesn't realize his problem. So the best way is get yourself out of that relationship gracefully. Okay? And then next will be the control freak. Control freak people, they must make a decision all by themselves. They will never ask for help. They like to tell people what to do, but don't want to be told what to do. So control freak actually is a fatal because they are not open for help. This one's hard. This one's harder to get professional help if they don't realize that, right? Because of that, they have a difficult time to open up and show their vulnerable emotional side. And a healthy relationship cannot be healthy if one of the party cannot open up themselves, being vulnerable and emotional. So basically, if you're living with this kind of a people, it's a living arrangement. It's not relationship because you're not relating. You cannot talk about your emotions. You're just living together for convenience. But however, remember, those control freaks actually not only want to make a decision by themselves, they also want to control your time, your choice, and your habit, your interest. So your life becomes not relaxing at all. You feel like you're being controlled in many ways. We all value freedom. You want to feel like you want to do whatever you want to do. But what if there's a person constantly tell you what to do? Is that fun? No, of course. Relationship is not fun that way. So just watch out those control freaks and then let them know this is not acceptable. Get out. Okay? And then the next fatal flaw is a sexual dysfunction. And so will show up some people who have a sexual addiction, obsession. And pay attention once you two have the intimate relationship, and to see if he likes to watch porn movies and he's obsessed with the sex. And I have a lady came to me. She said in the beginning she loved it because they just new to each other, fresh, excited. So they have a sex more than once per day and every single day. But 6 months into relationship, she got tired. She said, sometimes I came from work, I'm tired and I'm stressed out and I want to relax. And he doesn't care. He still wants it. So at some point you will know it's the addiction, obsession. It's not about love, connection through sex. It's something mentally, psychologically about this person. And another form of sexual dysfunction is a people lack of sexual integrity. They constantly flirting with other people, even they're with you. Or they make sexual comments about friends, about family members, about anyone passing by. I had a guy who on the second day, and they keep talking about the girls in the restaurant. Look at her toenails. That's so pretty. Those people who lack of the integrity will, at the end, lead to cheating on you. They don't have a sexual boundary. Okay? And the last form of the sexual dysfunction is the sexual performance problem. So there's some people, they cannot perform well, or they lack of interest in sex. This part actually is not as fatal as if they realize that. And as long as you guys can be honest about it, say you are not happy about his sexual performance, and just trying to find out the reason, either get a professional help or you guys can talk what could be the reason to see if you can solve the problem. Only become a fatal if he denies it. Say, no, I don't have a problem. It's you have a problem. Then it will become a fatal flaw. Because if you're not happy physically, in the physical, intimacy is part of the relationship. If you're not happy, the relationship cannot go too long. And I have ladies came to me, they broke up the relationship because that's the only sole reason. They still tell me their boyfriend actually is a very nice guy, but just sexually, he refused to get help. He denies there's a problem. And then one lady said, well, I'm still young, I'm 35, I don't want to live my life like this until I die. So it's just too bad. So find out early on and to find a solution, okay? The next type is the people who hasn't grown up and are running into this type of guy. So years ago when I was dating and I met this guy, he never married and then no kids, very sweet guy. He loves to travel and the same as me, so he took me everywhere. And I was thrilled, excited, so that we have something in common. But 3 months into relationship, because of getting more know each other, I realized he used his credit card to take me everywhere. So he accumulated 15,000 debts. Because he's in a sales job, so sales, income, it's not stable. Sometimes come with a big, amount, sometimes nothing. So he asked his dad to help him to pay the credit card. And as soon as I know that, I know it's a bad warning sign. Red flag. Big one, okay? So I got out of that relationship because I do not want to hang out with a guy who is financially not responsible. So pay attention to the guys. Are they always talking about, stress out about money and bounce checks, didn't pay the bill on time, always wait until money running out, then go for, looking for more, how to make more money and how to invest his money for retirement. Does he has a savings for the future or just like living like no tomorrow? Those are important because it related to your future together. You don't want to get into a financial messy with the guy. Especially, I have actually personal girlfriend. She found out the guy has had 80,000 debts, and back then she already got pregnant. They're planning get married, so she had no choice because the baby's on the way. So she decided to suck in, help the guy to pay for the debt because they want to have a family together. So it's important to find out what's his philosophy about finance, about investment. Another type of people who hasn't grown up is they are not dependable. They're always late for something. If you tell them something important, they forget. Okay, if you ask him to make a restaurant reservation, they forget. So those people, you cannot rely on something. You ask them to pick up the kids, they forget. And it just happened to me as well. The same guy, I've been dating, the one who's, use credit card. And at one time, I really had a business meeting delayed, and I asked him to pick up my daughter from school. And he said, no problem. And then he forgot. And that caused a huge fighting between us. That was actually before I found out that his credit card problem. So both two things together, for me, it's definitely no for this relationship. Okay? Another type is people who are not motivated. They never know what's the purpose of life. They're just getting by every day. They need somebody else to push them. And those type of people, less likely to make a commitment. They don't even know what commitment means. This hasn't grown up yet. They're still a child, inside. Why cause that? There's many, reasons as well. We're not going to dive into the details psychologically why they become the way they are right now. But there are people like that, not very motivated, evaded in life. And it will be really hard for you to hang out with those people. You're going to be like a parenting them if you run into this type of people. Parenting in relationship kills passion. It definitely kills passion. Do you really want to parenting someone? Relationships should be equal partners who respect each other, enjoy each other, love each other, take care of each other. But if you run into this type of people, you become take care of everything for him. And sooner or later, you're going to burn out and cause resentment. And I heard many wives, they decided to divorce after kids, went to college because they're tired of being parenting the husband. But because of the kids, they stuck in a relationship for a while. Now they say that I want freedom. I don't want to take care of it anymore because he didn't respect me. He didn't treat the way I want to be treated. So very be careful about this type. This type is fatal to me unless he's realized that and willing to get help. Same thing. If he's still in the childhood mode, it's still like a children mode, hasn't grown up, there's nothing you really can help unless you take care of him. And the next one is emotionally unavailable, which we talked a little bit about last time. For this one, I would say, if you run into this type of people, just run away, quick. Because those type of people who cannot show their emotions are blocked. My ex was like that. And I discovered later on by talking to his mother in his childhood when he was 5 years old. His mother, his father got into a huge big fight about his father cheating on her, the mother. And then somehow he shut down himself totally. His heart is closed. So he can't and will not talk about feelings. When we in marriage, I noticed as soon as I talk about emotions, he's like a wall. I can feel a wall, an invisible wall between us. So I talked to him about my feelings. I said, can we go talk to marriage therapist, get some counseling? And he said, no. He said, I don't have a problem. I don't do those kind of things. So I went to my therapist and I told him about my ex's reaction. So my therapist gave me two options. He said, well, since he's not realizing he has a problem, but his heart is closed, so you have two options. You either wait until one day he opens that, which is we don't know because he doesn't ask for help. And another one I only can see is get out if you don't want to continue to suffer. So I took the second option because I was still young. I don't want to, my whole life, and dealing with a guy who's emotionally unavailable. It's not happy relationship at all. You cannot talk about your feelings. You talk to the wall, you feel like. Because they cannot open up and they don't even trust you. So for me, we are more like, he's not a nice guy. He doesn't do things to hurt me, but he just can't talk. So we were more like roommates living together. There's no intimacy at all. Okay? So sex with an emotionally unavailable man, it feels like no connection. It's like a chore, So that's not fun at all. Okay? And the last one is running into someone. Be careful to see if he has recovered from the past relationship. And if he's not, and also will be very destructive to your relationship. Because the person still carries tremendous anger, resentment towards his ex. And one time I ran into this kind of a guy once. Because I learned this, so that's why I got myself out quickly. So he sounds really good on paper. He's vice president for a major corporation. And on the very first day, strangely, he right, off the topic, tell me he make close to $500,000, annual salary. His financial is really good. And then we talked well as well. But 30 minutes into conversation, he started talking about his ex-wife. So his ex-wife basically cheated on him and then ran off, away with another guy. So he kept talking and how much hurt she brought to him, to the kids. And right there, I know she still hasn't recovered. So I asked him, I said, how long have you been divorced? So he said a couple of months. That's way too early. Also, that's why ladies, remember, be careful when you get into a relationship. Always ask the guys how long they have been divorced. If they told you they're only separated, and I would suggest not get into relationship with them at all, because divorce is a very draining emotional process. If they're still in the process of divorcing, definitely emotionally not available for you. They're just not available. They want to find someone to be with them because they're suffering, but it doesn't mean they will love you because they don't have the capacity yet. And lots of people doing that right now. They, as soon as they're filing for divorce, they get online, they started looking for dates because they want a distraction from their suffering emotional divorcing process. And also pay attention to those people who just divorced, because it takes time to heal. That's for everyone. It takes time to heal. And if time is too short, they're still in that, emotional shocking mode. They still doesn't know how to get rid of the anger and the resentment yet. Okay? There's another type is still feel guilty and responsible for his ex-wife. So you will find out they constantly still, calling each other, talking, and some guys, they even lie to their ex-wife, about their new relationship because they don't want to hurt ex-wife's feelings. And those are very bad. Actually, it's a boundary issue. And it's not really fair to you. So you have to really, really be careful on those type of people. You have to point it out, let them know. Say, if you don't set a boundary with your ex, I cannot continue to see you. It is not fair to me. And it's also not healthy. Okay? And the last type of those people actually is traumatized from the past or abused in his past relationship. So they still talking a lot. They crying on your shoulder. They get your sympathy from you, compassion. And women has a tendency to help them because they feel bad for them. And I have a client, currently a private client. She just exactly doing this, which is we've been back and forth talking a lot. She feel bad for her date, and she feel like I want to help him, make him happy because I like him. And what she get herself into is, the relationship is twisted, the emotion is twisted. She wants to help, but then the guy whining so much, and then finally she got so exhausted, and herself got depressed. But she feel better to leave him because, well, he's so weak, he's so sensitive, he needs help. If I left him, it will make him worse. So see, you can, in relationship, you cannot be a mission rescuer. You cannot rescue another person. And when we're doing life coaching training as a therapist, as a coach, and we've been told never ever coach family members, never ever coach and close friends, because emotionally you are so related, so connected. It's harder for you to have from a more objective perspective. And not to mention, especially if you are physically, emotionally involved with that person, you're trying to help him, you just really set yourself up for failure. Heartbreak by the end because you are exhausted. Okay? So this is the it's 8, we call the fatal flaws. You have to be really careful when you're out dating. But if you find someone who has one or more of these fatal flaws, doesn't mean they're incapable of having relationship. But just have to be, keep in mind that those flaws will cause the challenge in your relationship. Unless both of you are aware of it and are willing to work together. That's the key. So if you point it out, he denies, then if he, the person has a problem, doesn't want to get help, then there's nothing you can do. So it's always good to get out as early as possible. Okay? And then once you can identify those fatal flaws to avoid them, and I think you too will have a great chance to get into a happy, loving relationship, going to the next stage called commitment. So next time we will talk about 4 levels of commitment. Okay, see you next time.